Hello, everyone. Welcome to the channel for everything Arsenal and everything football. Thanks for being here. I hope you're all doing well. And we are back again to preview match week 3, Liverpool against Arsenal. To be fair, a match we never have any luck in, like for years, since like 2012, our last win. So it's been years. And I've brought some Liverpool fans here with me. I'll start with Connor from the KopCouncil. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you, mate. Thank you for inviting me onto the channel.
Where can they get you on YouTube and Twitter?
Just simple, TheKopCouncil on YouTube and Twitter, and also Instagram as well.
Awesome. And Mick from the Kopite podcast. How are you?
Yeah, not too bad, mate. Yourself?
I'm good. Where can they follow you?
So you can find us on Twitter on TheKopiteOff, which is meant to be the Kopite official, but Twitter won't let us have a full name.
Yeah.
On YouTube, the Kopite podcast. On Instagram, the Kopite as well.
Awesome. I'm good now, but I hope I'll also be good after Monday because we are never good after Anfield games. So, what have you made of your season, Connor, so far? 3 games, yeah, 1 in the Carabao Cup and 2 in the league. 3 wins out of 3. Yeah, how has it been so far?
3 wins out of 3 couldn't get any better start realistically. I know that a couple of people have been a bit angry in terms of defensively and us conceding goals and conceding chances and that, but again, Liverpool just find a way to win this season, and that's what we have to keep on doing. Realistically, everyone has strengthened in the Premier League this season, not only Manchester City, which are going to be our biggest rivals, plain and simple. Yourselves, you have strengthened, Chelsea have strengthened, even though, we've just seen a crazy game in that aspect of things. But, to be fair, so far I'm happy with how the season's gone so far. It's too early to really tell who is going to be the main contenders this year. But, all of us can presume both Liverpool and Manchester City are going to be the 2 big guns. So, like other seasons, I'm not too concerned about, what's happened so far. And, in terms of, defensive wise, because attacking wise, we've been brilliant. But yeah, apart from that, I think we've had a good season so far.
Yeah, how about you, Mick?
Yeah, pretty much the same. Did well in the last game, Carabao Cup against Lincoln. Obviously, a nice 7-2 win. Our second string doing quite well, and obviously trying to forge the way into plans like Curtis Jones and obviously Firmino, who done so well in pre-season, and then he hasn't really featured in the Premier League, which was a bit of a shock to me. But you might have questioned Jurgen Klopp at the end of the day. But I imagine we're going to see a lot more of Firmino in the coming games. I hope he does start against Arsenal, to be honest, because I think he's in that Carabao Cup game. He just took the game by the scruff of the neck, and that's what we want to see from those type of fringe players. But now, in terms of the rest of the results, we've done well, and yeah, it's a good start so far. I know games are coming quick, thick and fast, so we've got to use the squad and rotate where we can and get the best out of them.
Yeah, and how about he's spoken about how about Shaqiri? I thought he was going to have like an influence on Liverpool straight away, but struggled a bit. Injuries?
Yeah, I think it's just one of them. Like I spoke about it on our last podcast on our channel, saying
yeah,
he does well in fits and starts, but his body just doesn't allow him to be on the field as much as he wants to be. I mean, he was in that game against Man United where he scores 2 at Anfield. I was at that game, and then Mourinho gets sacked the day. Iconic game. Then he goes missing again for another 6 months or a year or whatever it was. Comes back into the fold against Everton. We beat them 5-2 at Anfield. I was at that game as well, and you're like,
yeah.
I just wish he could channel that and do that more often, because there's no doubt in his quality. He's 28 years of age. We've just signed a 29-year-old Thiago. If the 29-year-old Thiago can do things with this team, a 28-year-old Xherdan Shaqiri can definitely do things. It's just whether he wants to stick around and try and force his way into the reckoning, because we wouldn't blame him if he wanted to leave and go and play first-team football somewhere else, because he's got that undoubted quality. And you've seen that in the Lincoln game. That free kick, no keeper in the world stopping that. And I think it's just the defensive side of the game probably doesn't go in his favour. I mean, going forward, he's absolutely great. Low centre of gravity, great shot, eye for a pass. He's got all that quality there, but it's maybe that's the reason along with, like they said, the injuries, defensive side of his game maybe lets him down. And yeah, I hope he does stick around. But like I said, if he goes, then we can't really complain.
Yeah, Connor, is there a time that maybe last season you thought Shaqiri needs to go?
No, to be awfully honest, though, I think that Mick has mentioned, the quality of Shaqiri, and that's what he brings towards Liverpool. This is what he was brought in to do. He was, realistically, Liverpool needed quality in the squad, and that's what he is bringing to it. It's just, unfortunately, injuries are a problem with Shaqiri, and if he could be more fit, then he would impact our squad a lot more, especially during the season. And as we saw against Lincoln, look at the impact, like Mick said, the free kick, that excellent free kick, and the work then with, him playing as an 8 realistically in midfield, because he didn't play on the wing mainly, in the week. He played as a number 8, which we've never seen realistically from a Shaqiri and the Liverpool. So I think Klopp's maybe using that as, a place to see whether or not Shaqiri can use, any place in Liverpool squad, because of course we got Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain out injured for Liverpool. And I think his presence is majorly missed because he gives Liverpool options. He can play attacking midfield, he can play false 9, he can play on the wing. He offers so much towards Liverpool. And I think that Shaqiri, maybe he can be now what Ox was maybe potentially going to be at the beginning of this season, at least anyway.
Yeah, so far I still can't mention the left back, the new left back, his name so hard. Him and Jota and of course Thiago. What have you made of the transfer window so far, Connor?
Excellent business from Liverpool, and realistically we can't expect any less from us. As you can see on screen right there, Thiago Alcantara. For me, he's just brought a smile on my face every time I speak of his name. And there hasn't been many people that has done that, because of course Liverpool have always bought with age on their side realistically, but Thiago is different in that aspect of things, in where he's 29 years old, quite easily one of, if not the best midfielders in world football, and Jurgen Klopp wanted to sign him, and he got him in for £5 million over a 4-year deal. That's just crazy business. And as well as Jota, I know people will question that signing in terms of money. I don't think it's overpriced. I think it's perfect as it is, because he has very similar numbers to both Mo Salah and Sadio Mane before he joined Liverpool, before they joined Liverpool, sorry. And Kostas Tsimikas, we needed him because we're playing James Milner at left back, and I know James Milner for us is like a fine wine. He gets better with each and every single couple of years. But the thing is, age, it does weigh you down. And Milner is picking up 1 or 2 more injuries than usual. So, we needed a left back and we got him. So, in terms of business wise, perfect. Apart, I would like a centre back in at Liverpool just for cover.
Yeah, Mick, I'm going to ask you the same question, but kind of differently. At the end of the season, was there any particular player that you wanted to join Liverpool?
I don't think I had anyone personally in mind. I mean, once the Thiago bandwagon started getting jumped on, I think I jumped on that as well, like everyone else did. But then the whole Gini Wijnaldum, the whole narrative around that was a bit too much for me, because obviously I think people underestimated just how good Gini Wijnaldum's been and can continue to be in the future for Liverpool. But I don't think I had anyone else in mind, really. I mean, we can all dream about Kylian Mbappe or people like that, Jadon Sancho. They're just pipe dreams at the moment. I mean, it remains to be seen what's going to happen in the future with those two. Maybe Sancho might go to Man United, maybe, but Mbappe might come to the Premier League at some point. But I don't think I had anyone. And like Connor said, the business we've done, I mean, we bought in Tsimikas first and foremost, who not many of us knew much about, but when you see him play, you watch him against Lincoln, and I watched it in pre-season as well. He's really good. He's quality. Yeah, he gets on the ball. He's not scared to run down the wing. He's really quick as well. So those counter-attacking moments from an opponent, he is absolutely ideal. And if he came in alongside Van Dijk, Gomez, and Trent, that is absolute rapid back four. And anyone wants to counter-attack into Liverpool, they're going to have a real struggle because there's real pace there. Going forward, Simicast's really good. Gets crossed into the box. Not scared to take people on. Good eye for a pass. And like I said, Jota, we've just seen him briefly in the last game against Lincoln. He came on the last 20 minutes, something like that. Yeah. But when you've seen how good he is for Wolves, I mean, like before he joined, I think we were linked with Ismail Sarr from Watford. I think that was the preferred winger, to be honest, from the general consensus on Twitter. Anyway, that's the feeling I was getting. But you can see Jota, if the numbers have been that he's been producing over the last couple of years for Wolves, can't go underrated really. He's been doing a great job for them, and he's still young. He's still a young lad. He's still got plenty to do. And I think there was a quote from Pep Lijnders recently saying his technical level is as good as the current front three, which I don't think you can get a higher praise than that, because this front three is probably the best in the world for me. So to get put alongside those by Pep Lijnders is high praise indeed. I think he's a great signing. I don't know if we've like Connor said, we don't know if we've overpaid yet. That remains to be seen. Depends what he does this season over the next couple of years. It might, like the rest of them, like when we signed Van Dijk, people were saying, have we overpaid? And now we're saying it's a snip. Alisson, we overpaid. Now it's a snip. It's just one of them. It all depends on how he goes on the field and how he produces the goods over the next couple of years. We might be saying Jota was a snip as well. But like Connor said, get Thiago. He was just watching when he came on against Chelsea. Just brought joy. It was just every 6-yard pass I was cheering. It was just like proper fanboy moments. I was just loving everything. Everything he did was just like, even just the way he passes the ball. It's just so crisp and just like so precise. You just admire it, and it's So overall, I'll stop talking. I'm happy with the business we've done. Like, I don't think we'll sign anyone else now, but the squad there we've got in the Lincoln game proved we've got an abundance of quality in there. And going forward, if we need to bring the likes of Shaqiri or Origi or Curtis Jones on or whoever, Minamino, there's absolute top quality there that we can rely on even in the bigger games.
Yeah, and Connor, any specific position you wanted to be improved?
It's like I said, centre back for me. At the moment, it's like Mick said, the entire squad now. It sounds stupid, but what an impact can two players have on a squad? Because everyone, including the pundits and everyone, was saying, "Oh, Liverpool need to add to the squad," and I agree to it to an extent. And of course, you need to add to a championship-winning team, but I felt like Liverpool were getting. I don't know whether it was because of Liverpool and the media and things. I guess we were getting a little bit of hate towards us in that aspect of things because we wasn't adding to the squad. And just seeing on Twitter people saying about FSG and they're not going to spend again and things. I guess at the minute we're in a crisis right now. We don't know what's going to happen 3 months from now. We don't. So realistically, Liverpool had to find the players for the best deal. And like I said, Thiago, 5 million. I believe anyway we're paying, I think it's like 9 million in 2020 for both Thiago and Jota, which is fantastic business in that aspect of things. And hopefully when 2021 comes around, things will be back to normal. Crowds will be back in, money will be generating back in, and that's the thing at the minute. Do Liverpool have a bit more money to spend on another squad player? We've been linked with I believe it's Hossein Kabak from I think it's from Schalke. He's rumored to be around 20 million, 25 million euros, at the moment. So it's a hefty price for what Liverpool need for a fourth choice centre back. So in my personal opinion, I would say that Liverpool aren't going to sign anyone again, like what Mick said in this summer. But I would prefer a centre back to not so much just rely on Fabinho, even though as we saw against Chelsea, Fabinho can do an excellent job against someone like Timo Werner and Kai Havertz. I know they're new to the league and that, but he had them in their back pocket for the entirety of the game. So it's just nice to see and nice to know realistically we can rely on Fabinho. But I think if we was to have another injury, like say if Joe Gomez is out for 2 or 3 months, that is I think going to cost us some points this season for sure.
Yeah, you guys getting those deals done for Jota and Thiago was really incredible. So I'm guessing, Mick, you guys are happy with your board, with your manager, with your players, and like Arsenal, everything great at Liverpool right now. There's a couple of problems.
think there's any problems. I'd be... Who am I to say there's problems when we've just won the Premier League after 30-year wait? Like,
Yeah.
I know everyone's been saying that, and I don't want it to become a cliche, but when you've just won the league,
yeah,
you need to strengthen when you've just won the league, and you need to keep on top of your game when you're meant to be top dogs. So you're meant to keep adding to the team and whatnot. But signing Thiago, signing Tsimikas, signing Jota, we've solved the backup to Robertson, because we were having to rely on, like Connor said, the 34-year-old James Milner, which, as much of a machine that he is, there's only so much he can do. He's getting older and older. He's gonna get more tired quicker. So signing Tsimikas there, if Robertson does get injured, which he doesn't really, touch wood, he doesn't get injured, but he doesn't really get injured. So, but if he does, we've got not a like for like, but someone who for me could be as good as one day for me. And then obviously signing Thiago in that midfield, and then having Jota as an option to the forward three. I can't say there's any problems at Liverpool at the moment. I mean, we won the Champions League, and then we've went on and won the Premier League a year later, and now I'm hoping this year, with those aforementioned transfers we've just made, that we can go on and win both of them this year, barring any bad injuries to anyone. Mainly Van Dijk or Alisson, because I think, like Connor said, we are a bit short at the back, and I think the drop in quality from Adrian to Alisson is absolutely huge, and you've seen that in the Lincoln game. I mean, I like Adrian, but there's for me, Alisson's the best in the world, so anyone other than him is going to be a severe drop in quality, and I think he is susceptible to major, just rookie errors, really. I mean, he made a couple of good saves, but he is susceptible to just being picked on and people having long shots against him. I mean, it proved in the Atletico game last year where we got knocked off the Champions League. He's prone to those errors, and if Alisson was out the team, I would be really worried. But I mean, we can't really do anything about that. In terms of centre-back, I'm happy with Firmino going in there. I think that was maybe Klopp's angle he went to the board with. He was like, well, we need a new centre-back, so he's probably put it as, well, let's put Fabinho back there, but then now we need another midfielder. So that's allowed that transfer to happen. So if that's the only reason that transfer's happened, then I'm happy with that.
Yeah, like Cookie says in the commentary, need to replicate Liverpool. There was a time Liverpool was below us, like around 2009, 2010 there, and you literally just overtook us and just left us behind. So he also goes on to ask, I've asked that question, but I think you guys have answered, but I'll ask it again differently again. One player you want to sign this transfer window, one player you wish to sign this transfer window, just one, Mick.
Oh, I don't know, I mean, Koulibaly would be an absolute dream, but then for me, I don't want to. I know Gomez and Matip are very injury prone, and I don't think we can rely on them that much, because it proved, I think they both got injured on the same day just before the Chelsea game. So that proved, that was in a nutshell. We can't rely on their bodies not breaking down at any given time, but they're both really high quality. If we sign the Koulibaly, who is he, 29, 30? He's at the top of his game now. He'd want to come in and start every game, and I don't think he'd be happy with a bench role. So I don't know if that's a viable option, but I honestly don't know who I'd sign. I mean, we've signed a backup left back, we've signed another midfielder, and we've signed a backup to the front three. They were pretty much the key areas we needed to address. I mean, like Connor said, another centre back would be great, but for me, it would be like a is his name Kazak, is it, or Kazan from Schalke? I don't even know his name. Someone like that who's willing to come in and do like He's not going to come in and go, I want to be a starter. He's going to come in and be like, I'll bide my time and I can work my way up. And like Van Dijk's 29, Matip's getting on a bit. So Gomez is the youth we've got in there. If we get someone in who's a bit younger, who wants to come in and learn the trade alongside Virgil van Dijk, who's the best in the world by a long way for me, then fair play. But I don't know who that would be, to be honest.
How about you, Connor? Any particular name you have?
Yeah, again, like what Mick said, it's hard to put a name on someone to improve or make an impact on this Liverpool squad now, because we've added to it. Like I said earlier, a centre back would be nice. Kabak, that's the only person that has been mentioned for Liverpool, so maybe him. If we could have like a free, shot at someone, why not try Mbappe? you know, just for the sake of it. You know, it would just be nice to just like, you know, be, you know, mentioned in the likes of Kylian Mbappe, but you know, I can't be that greedy, to be honest with you. But there's one person that I would like Liverpool to sign, and that is, well, he's a centre back and he's from Celtic, and that's Christopher Adjer, I believe his name is. And he does look like a very good centre back for Celtic anyway. He fits realistically more of the mould of like what Dejan Lovren left at Liverpool, you know, in that type of style of defender, but not, you know, the defender like Dejan Lovren that would, you know, dive in every single time and like, you know, try and attack Troy Deeney, even though Troy Deeney is going to win that battle every single day of the week. So, you know, but I would like for him to sign for Liverpool, and apparently he's only worth around 20 million euros, which would be, you know, again, fantastic business if that was to happen for Liverpool. But yeah, apart from that, I can't really think of anyone else for Liverpool really.
I think we got linked with Ben White from, I think we got and then he's now at Brighton. I watched him today. Obviously, he was getting Brighton against Man United, and I thought he'd done well against. Obviously, their front three is really good, but apart from those two we've mentioned, there's not really any concrete links. And definitely Ben White was definitely talked about. I know that because it was covered by loads of outlets. Obviously, he wanted to play first team football, so it's just trying to get those, because I think he's 20. I think White's 22. It's getting those players in at that age where they're happy to come in and be a bit part player rather than wanting to start every game. Like, but then you've got him who wants to stay at Brighton, he wants to play every week. So it's just, it depends on who Klopp's getting and who you've got on the radar really that want to come in and do that job, because that Ben White looks like he could be a good prospect in a couple of years. Whether that move materialises in a year or two, it remains to be seen. But someone like that who's good on the ball, you could see he was driving out from the back like Gomez does on that right hand side of centre half, running forward, picking passes. So someone like that in that mould would be perfect for us.
Seems like a good idea to become a Liverpool fan right now. Everything seems very, very rosy. I wish you could ask that same question to an Arsenal fan. You'll get like 20 names thrown out to you from each person. So things are very good at Liverpool, and you can understand why a good season last season, unlucky not to pick up the Premier League the previous season, got the Champions League. So expectations for this season, Connor, like retain the Premier League or win a cup or two or double, treble? What are your expectations for this season?
Is it greedy to say win everything? I think that's a little bit of a greedy statement, but retain the Premier League is the main goal, in my personal opinion. You know, waiting 30 years for that first league title, you know, for a club the size of Liverpool, it's been way too long for them to win a Premier League. And, you know, we finally did it last year after getting, you know, 97 points the previous year, now getting 99 this last season. You know, it was just it was a magical season in what was, you know, a crazy season in itself. So yeah, Premier League for me is the main objective. Champions League would be nice as well. You know, Klopp doesn't really, I don't want to say he doesn't care about the cups, realistically, in both the FA Cup and the League Cup, but, you know, as previous seasons have gone by, that's been living proof. He doesn't mind getting knocked out of them competitions. But yeah, if we could do the double this year, you know, in terms of Premier League and Champions League, I'd be you know, brilliant with that. But even if we just won the Premier League, you know, again, I would just be happy with that and maintaining, you know, that form of winning championships now year after year.
How about you, Mick?
Yeah, same. Like Connor said, the bread and butter's retaining that Premier League. I mean, we're lucky enough to have won it last year, but we've now got that monkey off our back. That's now something we can now go and win it again, in my opinion. The team we've got, like I said, like we've touched on, the signings we've made, backup left back, another backup winger, and Thiago Alcantara, who's one of the top 3 midfielders in the world, having him in there allows us to rotate more. I mean, I think Henderson's going to be missing after Monday's game against Arsenal, but what better player to come into the midfield than Thiago Alcantara? Just it's stuff dreams are made of, and stuff that Liverpool fans have been dreaming of for absolutely years. Like the absolute crap that we've had to deal with over the years, it has been just. I can mention 100. You said, Glenn, you could mention 20 names Arsenal want to be linked with. I can mention 300 Liverpool players we've had in the past 10 years who've been absolutely crap and just make me want to tear my eyes out. So yeah, I think trying to win the Premier League again is main. I think we could win the Champions League again. Like I said, the backup players we've got who are dying to get into this first team, like Curtis Jones, who for me is absolutely top quality, 19 years of age. He is going to be absolutely some player. He's going to be unbelievable in a couple of years. Minamino, the likes of those coming in, doing a great job. I think but like I said, winning the Premier League is the main thing. But I think we could, barring any injuries to Alisson in certain semi-finals, Champions Leagues, I think we'll be all right.
Yeah, I remember your players, the likes of Ngog, such kind of players. You came from a far place. So it's at least one title for you guys each, at least one title. If you finish the season without any title, is it a drop-off? Connor?
I think it depends, realistically, because like how close do you consider, a drop-off? If we were to go like Manchester City last year and, drop off by like 20 odd points, then yeah, it would be a step backwards in that aspect of things. If we lost the league again by a point and Man City had, 97 and we had 96, I wouldn't consider that being a step backwards, because to get 96 points in a season is remarkable. I believe that Manchester United only managed, I think it's like 92 points ever, whenever Sir Alex Ferguson ever, won the Premier League with them. And, if it was to be like that, then no, I wouldn't consider it a step back. And if it was like 20 odd points, then yes, that would be the step back thing in my eyes. Would then people, go Klopp out and things like that? Yes, because idiots on Twitter, that's the sad thing of social media. But realistically, in the space of 5 years, Jurgen Klopp has took a mediocre Liverpool squad into the best team in the world, and we can only try and get better from now. And this is like going back onto the transfers, making that world-class signing in Thiago Alcantara, and bringing in Jota. It refreshes the squad. It makes the squad ambition a lot higher, and that is what it's already happening. Like Mick said, we all smiled when Thiago would come on against Chelsea, because it was literally men against boys in some aspect of things. Yes, Chelsea did have a red card in that aspect of things, but Liverpool dominated the first half, in my opinion, and it was only added then to it, with Thiago being brought on. So, if we wasn't to win a trophy this year, it wouldn't be the end of the world, in my opinion. But of course, like I said, it does depend on what does happen during the season and how far, if we was, for example, to, be away from Manchester City and others.
Yeah, last question for you, Mick, on this trophy segment. Last season, of course, in the Carabao Cup, you couldn't go for it because you're going to play for the Club World Cup. And in the FA Cup against Everton, I think you played kids, but you still won the game. So how do you want to approach those competitions this season? Like, play the kids, or you want to win one of them?
To be fair, the Carabao Cup we've just played in, the last game for Liverpool, the 7-2 win, I expected a lot less quality in that first 11 than was picked by Klopp. I expected Sepp van den Berg instead of Virgil van Dijk. I didn't expect Grujic in there. I expected maybe someone from the youth team in there. There was a couple of names in there that I was surprised by. We had Harry Wilson on the bench, and I don't know if it was maybe shop window time for a Marco Grujic or Harry Wilson. That's why they were in the squad. But no, I can't. If whatever Klopp chooses, I'm happy. Honestly, I can't argue with the fella. Like, I know there's a load of idiots on Twitter who are like, if we didn't win a trophy this year, it would be actually the end of the world for some people. And like Connor said, it depends on circumstances. If you look when Leicester won the league, they won it with 81 points. We won it with now the progression of City and the progression of Liverpool. You've now got to get in the 90s or in the hundreds if you want to win the league, and that's a plus 20 points from, I think, when did they win it? 5 years ago, was it? I think when Leicester won it.
Yeah.
That's a dramatic increase in quality that you've literally. Well, everyone else is playing catch up. That's why for this season, I don't think there's anyone else going to come close to us or City, because you need that quality, in depth, and you need that winning mentality, which I think the likes of Arsenal, the likes of Chelsea, the likes of Spurs and Man United, those teams, they've had it in history in their recent past. But going forward, they've all got pretty much new managers. They've all got new philosophies, new players. It's going to take them a long time to get back up there. Whereas Jurgen Klopp's had 5 years, like Connor said, to build this Liverpool team up and add just absolute quality every year, just handpicking whichever player he wants that fits the mould and makes them into the best. Like on the front of the pitches there, Sadio Mane, prime example, signed him for what, 34 million from Southampton. Loads of questions raised, like why is he spending this much on a winger who's pacey and good on the ball, but numbers wise doesn't do it. Then he comes to Liverpool, now he's in the top 20 all-time Liverpool goal scorers in our history. It says a lot, doesn't it? Maybe not so much Emre Can or Alberto Moreno or Dejan Lovren, but definitely Bobby and Sadio. But now, in terms of Carabao Cup, I think he will play maybe a hybrid of, like we see in the Lincoln game, he'll play a hybrid of experience and youth. I mean, we've seen 19-year-old Reece Williams getting his debut from the academy, which is absolutely great. You want to see that type of thing, and you want to see him playing alongside the back in the world, and he's only going to get better because of that. Whether he makes it as a first-team regular at Liverpool in the next 5 years, that remains to be seen, but the likes of on screen there, Harvey Elliott for me, top quality, and so is Curtis Jones. Those two, when you think Curtis Jones is 19, Harvey Elliott, I think he's only 17, which is absolutely baffling. Like how is he that good? That I'm jealous. I wish I was that good when I was 17. But between those two, and like you think, I was looking the other day, the average age of our best team is 27 years of age. I think it's 26.9. I'm a sad bastard, and I checked up on that, done a little bit of calculation. But when you think, I think I put something on Twitter like about Curtis Jones saying in the next couple of years he's going to be a superstar, and someone commented back saying if he's not in the first team by next year, we might as well sell him. And I was like, that is literally Twitter in a nutshell. You want to sell a 20-year-old Curtis Jones who could go on to be one of the best in the world just because he's not doing it. At such a young age. I
always wanted to ask you guys, Liverpool fans, Liverpool fans, about Firmino, because there's always been debates about him not scoring goals. Liverpool fans call him a creator, not a striker. So, Connor, if you're offered like a Lewandowski, would you like get him in place of Firmino? Would you get Lewandowski to play as a striker and Firmino as a midfielder?
Well, if you can keep them all in a team, why not? But to replace Bobby Firmino, you're taking out the core of Liverpool Football Club at the minute. He is. I always refer back to the Super Cup game last season. When we played Chelsea, I believe we were either 1-0 down or 2-1 down, and Bobby just, he comes on the pitch, and within, I think it's like 50 seconds, we draw level through, Bobby Firmino's, play and things like this. And he is, people will criticize Bobby Firmino for not scoring goals and not being, like the other two in the front three. But if it wasn't for him, those two, they wouldn't be like the way they are. They wouldn't be blastering goals, week in, week out, And against Chelsea, Bobby Firmino was tracking back that much. He was playing left back at times against Chelsea, which is just outstanding for a centre forward. So, he does so much for this Liverpool team. It's remarkable, realistically. And I know that people will criticise him for not scoring goals after what happened to him back, I believe, in the 17-18 season. I think nearly scoring 30 goals in that season. And, he's done himself a bit dirty, if I'm being awfully honest with you, by doing that. But Klopp allowed Bobby Firmino to have that freedom and go and score goals by himself, and not, putting himself first for the team. So I just think to all the people that say, oh, we should buy, for example, Mbappe, and then we can sell Firmino and get money, like this, they don't know the meanings of this football club. They don't know the meanings of, how the way Liverpool work. And without Bobby Firmino, Liverpool wouldn't be challenging for Premier League titles, in my personal opinion. Anyway, I think he's so underrated in world football's eyes. I think he is one of the best players in the Premier League, in my personal opinion.
How about you, Mick? Are you comfortable with the role that he plays, or do you expect more goals from him?
don't know if I can add to what Connor said, really. Firmino is the absolute glue that holds this team together. I don't care what anyone says on Twitter or in person to me, trying to slag Bobby Firmino off, because without him, we wouldn't have won anything. Because we signed him as I think we signed him as an attacking midfielder or a winger, pretty much, who creates stuff. Klopp thought, well, I can use this guy and mould him into what I want as a false nine who drops into the hole and allows two of the best wingers in the world, in Sadio Mane and Mo Salah, to basically be forwards but cutting in from the left and right. And his role is just so. It's one of those things. It's like the Jordan Henderson conundrum. You don't appreciate him unless you watch 90 minutes of the football. I mean, the rival fans that we see match of the day or extended highlights of 7-8 minutes. You see in the goals and assists, and if Firmino isn't doing that, you question it. I understand that completely. I completely understand that, why people question him, because he doesn't score that many or doesn't create that much. But the dirty stuff that he does, he chases people down. He creates the assist for the assist a lot of times. That isn't really a thing, really, is it? But it's stuff that, as Liverpool fans, we appreciate so much. Like, he's been here for 5 years. I think we signed him for quite a bit of money, like 30 million at the time, which was quite a bit. Yeah. He's been moulded by Klopp. And I think if you take him out that team, the team's completely different. Like, every role in this Klopp team is literally, it's so definitive and so specific that it needs that much loads of training to get yourself up to that. Like, I think Minamino will eventually be good at that role, because the signs I've seen probably do that. But it would take a lot of time for someone to get into that role and do it so well. And if Klopp's system is that, and Firmino fits that, and we're winning things in that system, then for me, if we lost him, I'd be devastated. I mean, if you change the system slightly and put him as an attacking midfielder, and then you put a striker up there, I think that maybe still would work, because you'd still get that energy from him. You'd get that creating from maybe a slightly deeper position where he didn't have to then run forward and be in the box to be a striker. But for me, he's one of the most key signings we've made over the past 10 years, 100%.
So, guys, you've heard it from the Liverpool fans, the real ones, not the plastic ones, the real fans. Con, I also wanted to ask you guys about your midfield. Of course, now you've gotten Thiago, you still have Henderson, Milner is still part of the team, Wijnaldum, Fabinho, Keita. Which is your best midfield three, Connor? Which one would you go for?
Ooh, that's a very tough question, especially with Thiago. No, it was bad enough with everyone there, and now you add Thiago to that, and it's like, okay, how do you work this out? It's a very tough one. For me, I think, just going back a little bit slightly of what Mick said about Jordan Henderson not getting the appreciation that he deserves. He deserves a lot of credit for what this Liverpool team is right now. Because like Bobby Firmino, he is so criminally underrated as well. You would have to watch him for 90 minutes to see what he does for Liverpool. And I would say to any Arsenal fan, or any fan in particular, watch a game last season when Jordan Henderson was the midfield, and watch the Watford game away. You can clearly see the absence in Jordan Henderson. And for me, I think Henderson would be the first midfielder on my list anyway, in particular. And then it's hard then, because I love Naby Keita. I've loved the transfer of Naby Keita since it happened. I know I was speaking to a few people on my channel, and they were like, he needs to start doing it and things like this, and people were getting a bit frustrated when they were talking to me about him and that, and I was like, give it time, he will be good. And now, ever since, he was showing signs at the beginning of last season, like a little bit of signs, and then after the restart, he's just been fantastic. From that Everton game, the first restarted game, he's been absolutely superb, in my opinion. So I'd like to put him in there, but I just feel you have to put Thiago in there, because he is world class in that aspect of things. Because Thiago, for me, you know, it takes players a while to fit into a system. But for me, I think Thiago is already showing signs of being able to fit into Jurgen Klopp's style of football. Of course, not playing too dissimilar football to what Bayern Munich do, of course. But yeah, I'd probably go best midfield would probably be Fabinho, because Fabinho is fantastic as well. Fabinho, Henderson, and I'd probably have to go. I'd probably have to go with Thiago, but with a heavy heart because I love Naby Keita. But this isn't the one player I haven't mentioned either is Gini Wijnaldum. This isn't taking anything away from Gini Wijnaldum. I love Gini Wijnaldum. I really want him to sign a new contract, but I do think that midfield for me just sounds intriguing then realistically in some aspects.
Yeah, how about you, Mick? I've always thought Wijnaldum is such a good midfielder. Okay, he won't like impress you like the way De Bruyne will, but the hard work, that is what we need at Arsenal. So what's your best midfield?
Oh, I don't know. I honestly don't know. but what a problem to have. Like I touched on 10 years ago we had Roy Hodgson in charge. We had like Milan Jovanovic and absolute crap in there, just doing like a horrendous job trying to head balls away and missing it and falling over and just making us look like absolute idiots. But yeah, I've got to agree with Connor. Jordan Henderson is absolutely 100% the first name, not even in the midfield, on the team sheet, because without him in that team, when he's not there, like Connor said, it is an absolute. It's like a gaping hole is missing from some. Like there's no. Like I know when he was injured, we had Milner in there to try and get that like that presence in there, but it's not quite the same when he's in there. If it doesn't matter who you are, it doesn't matter if you're the best player in the world, Jordan Henderson. If you don't do something right, he will scream at you until you do it right, and that's why him and Klopp. I mean, he wasn't the best player when he signed in the world. I think we can all agree that. It took a lot of time for him. I think it was like 2012 he signed, a long time ago. When he signed, he was a bit crap, and he's had to build his way up, taking over the mantle as captain. He's been on a long, arduous journey, and it's been a joy to watch, to be honest, to see him flourish into this absolute leader, which is if you take me back to 2012 in a time machine and said Jordan Henderson's going to lift all these trophies with Liverpool in 8 years and he's going to be first name on team sheet, I would have laughed in your face. That's how much he's him on. But in terms of midfield, I'd go Henderson there 100%. And then I think it just depends on who we're playing. It depends if we're playing a top team. I think if we're playing top teams, Klopp's going to go tried and trusted. He's going to go Henderson. He's going to go Fabinho. He's going to go Wijnaldum. He's going to go those three. He's going to go Fabinho sitting, Hendo on the right, Wijnaldum on the left. That's tried and trusted, and it works. We know it works. But in terms of maybe coming up against the lower 10 in the league, he'll go Henderson, Thiago, and Keita, because you can have Hendo sitting.
Sorry, best midfield. If you get to the Champions League final against Bayern Munich, which three would you pick that day?
Ooh.
Yeah.
Oh, that's asking some questions.
That's an even more harder question.
Yeah. But yeah, I get you. Henderson definitely has to be there 100%.
Yeah, definitely. If we were playing
Thiago too.
Thiago's got to go in there just because I think he'd know them inside out. And then,
so basically, it's one position, like 4 players to pick from.
Yeah, it literally depends. It depends on the day. It depends who. It's honestly it goes to the minute detail of who they've got available. If they've got less attacking quality available, he'll pick someone like Keita. If they've got all quality available, he'll pick Fabinho. It literally depends on who's available for the opposition. That Klopp will tailor his decisions based on that. But like Naby Keita's great, absolutely tremendous since the restart. Like Connor said, he's been tremendous. Wijnaldum's great and Fabinho. But if your first two are Thiago and Henderson, what a trio to pick from for your last three in that midfield of Fabinho, Wijnaldum, and Keita.
Yeah, thank you for that. That has cleared up a lot for the Liverpool midfield. For us now, we know what is best for you. There's so many questions in the chat, so let's just get into the actual game itself. Liverpool against Arsenal on Monday. We're playing you twice also on Thursday. So is this a good game for you guys, Connor, early on the season? How do you normally prefer it, to play the smaller teams early or the big teams early, like Chelsea, Arsenal, United, all of us, in the first 5 games?
I always love playing Arsenal within the first 5 games because well, of course, against Arsene Wenger, it would always be, Arsenal would probably be better towards the end of the season, not at the beginning.
Yeah.
That would be always been the thing for them. But, of course, you've had, Unai Emery recently as manager, and we played you early in, last year, for example, and, stole the show. For example, Mo Salah played an absolute brilliant game. But, I particularly don't really care about who we play. For me, at the beginning of the season, I don't particularly care. It's more around that, that Christmas period, how far of a distance the Liverpool have to travel. For example, I think, it's very small around, Boxing Day and then, all the New Year games and that. So that's where I particularly look towards in the games and that. But, this is probably going to be a different Arsenal side to what it's been over the last couple of years. Of course, we've already played you this season, in the Community Shield. And, for me, I thought Arsenal were very good. They were very disciplined in that game. I did think Liverpool were a bit unlucky in it, not grabbing the second goal. But, Arsenal did play well. And, you can see where the effect of Arteta is changing the squad. You finally signed down Aubameyang to a new deal. You sign Gabriel, for example, and getting that over the line and that. But for me, I just think that Liverpool, like we talked about earlier, the Premier League is the bread and butter of the season. That is what we're going to focus on mainly. And I just got a feeling Liverpool are going to turn up again. It's a big game against a Big Six opponent. I know that Arsenal have been like the meme club out the top 6 on Twitter and things like this over the last couple of seasons. But, Arsenal, the name, the club, it's still a big game in that aspect of things. And, I just think Liverpool and Klopp, they're just going to turn up for this. And being at Anfield as well, I do think we're going to turn up for the big game on Monday.
That really scares me. How many daggers can you throw at me? But it's okay. Mick, how about you? How do you normally prefer to start, like the Fulhams and the West Hams or the Chelseas and the Arsenals in the first games?
I think, like Connor said, it doesn't really. It used to bother me a lot more than it does now, because when we were say, back in the 2010 era or 2012, whatever, when we weren't as good, you'd be like, oh, we've got Chelsea, oh, we've got Arsenal, oh, we've got United, oh, we've got Spurs, and you'd worry about those. Whereas now you don't. I don't worry about any game. Like, I think I'm right in saying, I think we've lost our last 2 games to Arsenal, haven't we? We lost in the Community Shield and we lost like towards the end of last season. Yeah. And that shows huge improvement from Arsenal. And Arsenal are a team to look at. I think personally you will make top 4 this year, just on what I've seen from you so far under Arteta. Really good sides. You've got some good players in there. People coming back in from the cold, like El Neni, who I really rate, coming back and doing the job. And you need players like that in there. And I think the likes of Klopp and Guardiola have brought on this new philosophy: if you don't work for the team, you're not in the team. So I think that works in your favour, because you've got a lot of workhorses in that team who do really good jobs and they're good technically on the ball. But in terms of playing fixtures, it doesn't really bother me who we play when. I mean, we've like Connor said, I think over the Christmas period, it's a bit, we should be rattling through those teams and picking up loads of points. But at the end of the day, it's the Premier League. You just don't know who's going to, like Brighton today against Man United, should have beat them, and they end up getting beat 3-2. So anyone can beat anyone, and that's why it's the best.
We don't travel to Anfield. We never have good games at Anfield. I think from the last 8 games, including the Carabao Cup one last season, I think we've conceded 30 goals in the last 8 games. Obviously, there's been a lot of 3-3s and 4-4s and 4-3s and 5-1s and all that. but we never travel well. I mean, there's so many games, 209, 4-4. There was this 3-3 at the Emirates. Any game in particular that you really remember, Connor, that really impressed you? Obviously, there's also that season where we were going for the title and City pipped you guys, I think, in 2014. Also, you beat us 5-1. Like, any of those games that stood out to you?
That's one of the games, in 2013-14, completely. I believe you were top of the league at the time as well. And I think it was first versus second. And, we just blitzed, Brendan Rodgers blitzed Arsene Wenger to pieces that day. Daniel Sturridge, Luis Suarez, Sterling, a back down memory lane, realistically. But the main game that stands for me is, it wasn't that too long ago. I believe it was the 5-1 win at Anfield back in 2018-19, when Bobby Firmino played absolutely superb. I believe he went 1-0 up, and then it just went downhill from then.
Yeah,
Arsenal.
that was a game. That was a game in December, right? I remember that. I think it was like the last game of the year. Yeah,
it was a beautiful day at Anfield. Oh, go on.
Yeah, that's the day. Yeah, that's the day that he scored a very such a disrespectful goal. There was that one where he dribbled past players, and then there was also one that he just shot without looking at the ball. So that's why I asked you about Firmino, because I don't like him playing against Arsenal. I think he has scored 7 goals against us. Same with Salah and same with Mane, so it's never good. So that's yours, Mick. Any game that stood out for you? Because there's been a lot of crackers in this fixture.
Yeah, I think that game, that was the one I was going to mention. The one Connor just mentioned, the 5-1 where Firmino got his hat-trick, and I think that was the time where I started thinking, I know Arsenal went 1 ahead. That was start of the period where I thought, I don't care if whoever scores first, we're still going to win the game. And I think that's remained the case. It doesn't matter if we concede early. It doesn't even matter if we concede 2. And know that we've got firepower up front to get back in the game. I mean, I think wasn't it another game 5-5 at Arsenal in Midfield, and was it in the cup? That was a mental game with Oxlade-Chamberlain scoring a belter. Going back a bit further, there's the 4-4 with Arshavin scored 4 at Anfield. Just absolutely, just there's been so many crazy games over the years at Anfield that you just wow, it's just, especially when you had Arsene Wenger still in charge, and it was still just absolutely manic, end-to-end stuff and great football. Yeah. But that's what I mean. It's always been one of those fixtures where there's going to be loads of goals, and hopefully it'll be the same on Monday.
Yeah, there's also a 3-3, I think, when Allen scored against us in the last minute. There's also another one where Skattel scored in the last minute. There's so many crackers. There was also a 3-3, as I said, at the Emirates. And recently, you get the point. We never have good games at Anfield. The last time we got a point was in 2015, and the last time we won was back when Cazorla and Giroud were still new Arsenal players. So it's been quite a while. Podolski is still playing for Arsenal. So are you expecting it to be the same, Connor? And what would be your starting lineup for the game?
Well, like we said, I think Liverpool. Well, I think anyway, Liverpool are gonna, love this game. It's a big game at Anfield. Early on in the season. Going back a little bit. When we were talking about games, I also remember. I think it was Peter Crouch scored. I think it was either his first hat trick or it was one of his first hat tricks, and he did the perfect hat trick. Left foot, right foot header. I love that game. That game I remember as a kid. That was fantastic. But
back in 2007 or something.
Yeah, 2006-07. I remember that. I just love Peter Crouch in Liverpool shirt. But going back then to the starting 11, I think it's quite easy in goal. Alisson Becker, no doubt there. Trent Alexander-Arnold, think that's obvious. Centre back, I think, is probably the biggest call of the game because. Joe Gomez being out last week, apparently he's back fit now, been training yesterday and today, as far as what I've seen on Twitter and things like this. So that's the biggest thing. Will it be him? Will it be Fabinho? For me, I think it'll be Fabinho. I think maybe he handled Timo Werner, so good in that aspect of things that I think, he's probably going to be facing Aubameyang, on that left-hand side. So I think potentially he will be the perfect person, not to maybe dive into the challenge and time him perfectly. Of course, then Virgil van Dijk and Andy Robertson. Of course, Jordan Henderson's out for this game, so that's pretty, bad for us. But I think it's going to be his first start for Liverpool. Thiago Alcantara playing in that defensive midfield role. Then I'd probably go with Gini Wijnaldum and Naby Keita. I think that's going to be our midfield. And then, of course, the scary front three, as everyone else likes to call them in the league, but I call them the beautiful front three. Bobby Firmino, Mo Salah, Sadio Mane. Just saying them just brings a smile to my face in that aspect of things.
Mick, how about you? Any changes from that?
No. Well, there's one I think I would change from that. I would put Joe Gomez in. I think, did you say Fabinho centre back, Connor? Yeah.
Yeah, I said Fabinho centre back.
Yeah, I think Fabinho playing against Lincoln was maybe a sign that he was willing to play him in that game, because he's not going to play him against Arsenal, I thought anyway. I mean, he came in and done well centre half for the second half against Lincoln. But I think Gomez being fit, I think putting him back in there, I think he's got a bit more pace, especially against Aubameyang and Lacazette, who aren't short of pace. Yeah. Putting Gomez back in there if he's fully fit. If not, what an able deputy in Fabinho to slot in there. But no, pretty much the same. I mean, Wijnaldum on the left, Keita on the right of a midfield, Thiago Alcantara just in the middle, pulling the strings. What a time to be!
You're killing my confidence here. You're killing my mood. So many. So how about like throwing Shaqiri for Salah and bench Mane? Just be nice to us and bench Mane and Salah, throwing Origi there or something. But yeah, I think that it's going to be a tough game. Like, we've never handled that front three, whether they've been at Roma or Southampton or wherever they've been. We've always struggled against them. So before we get into the questions in the chat prediction corner.
I'm going to go with a 3-1 Liverpool win. Think it's not going to be as dominant as what it's been previous years between Liverpool and Arsenal at Anfield, but yeah, I'm going to go for a 3-1 Liverpool win.
Mick?
Yeah, I don't remember the last time I predicted Liverpool to get a clean sheet. I mean, we did last game, albeit through Alisson Becker save through a penalty. But we are susceptible to scoring goals these days. So I do fancy Aubameyang to bag one. He might even get the first goal of the game. But I do feel like we will score a few and try and make a statement. We made a statement against Chelsea, a huge statement. They were meant to be the up-and-coming guys who were going to take the league by storm with Werner, Havertz and all this firepower, and we still blew them away. Absolutely blew them away. So I think I'm open for a similar type of performance. And yeah, as long as we get 2-1 or 3-1, I'll be absolutely made up with that.
Awesome. Okay, not awesome. It's sad, but you get what I'm trying to say. Awesome.
What's your score prediction?
I'm going to go bold. Liverpool 2, Arsenal 3. Let's get it. That first win for like 8 years. But realistically, I'm going to say like maybe a 2-2. But obviously, as Connor said, not like the hammerings. Man, we've had some, I don't know, like especially the Emery days, like those 2 games he played. Just look at his face. That is what like represented us too. Like we were just like, another one again, another one. Even Klopp was like, wow, these guys are just going to beat them every season. So yeah, it's a tough one. So yeah, those are the predictions. Let's now get the chat. First question. Thank you for your comments, people. First question. I'm going to go with this one. Depo asks, Con, I'm going to start with you. How would you rate Aubameyang performance or threat to Liverpool's defense?
Of course, he's a threat. He's one of the best Premier League strikers, in the league. Of course, getting so close to, the Golden Boot last season and that. So, you can't, say that Aubameyang's not good at all and won't threaten Liverpool's defense because, of course, scoring against us in the Community Shield. And that, so he does like scoring against Liverpool, and he knows Jurgen Klopp very well, of course, from Borussia Dortmund. So yeah, you can't underestimate Aubameyang, but I think maybe this time round, maybe Liverpool might be able to stop him, but it will be very, very difficult for sure.
Mick?
Yeah, I think it was after the Fulham game. I think you won 3-0, where didn't he score an absolute peach in that game? I just thought, he's just. I mean, when he first signed, I mean, Liverpool were always linked with him, and I always kind of thought we would sign him eventually. And he went to Arsenal, and I was quite happy that he'd just come to the Premier League because I wanted to see how good he'd do. And it took him a while to get going, but I think the end of last season and this season, he's just absolutely terrific. I love him. I think he's an absolute one of the best strikers in the world. I mean, the way he cuts on the left and just the way he scores is literally like one of my favourite ever players in the Premier League, Thierry Henry, and he's got shades of that about him. The pace, the way he cuts on the left channel, he cuts in. He just passes it into the ball with ease, and it's great to watch. I love watching him. But like I said, if Gomez is in there and if Van Dijk's alongside him, I think we're a lot stronger because as a duo, they're got more of a bit more cohesion because obviously they played a lot of games together and they've got a bit more pace in there. But then I said that about Firmino against Werner. I thought he'd struggle against Werner, and he made him look average. So it just depends. Yeah. I mean, no doubt on his quality, but if a determined Liverpool team turn up, it doesn't matter if he scores. We'll still score at least a couple or three, in my opinion.
Okay, and since you said you love Aubameyang, let's give you this on the first one: Aubameyang or Salah?
No context, is it really?
No
Mo
context.
Salah. No, Mo Salah, Egyptian king all day.
Is that just because he plays for Liverpool? Let's say if they were both Man U players, which one would you pick from that?
No, at the end of the day, we talk about Aubameyang being one of the best strikers in the world and all like this. Mo Salah's a right winger, and he's scoring the goals that he's scoring. And realistically, we talk about golden boots. Mo Salah has 2 in the Premier League. Aubameyang has 0, even though both of them have scored crazy amount of goals since being in the Premier League. But for me, I just think the way Mo Salah's doing it off the right coming in, for me, it's Mo Salah.
Mick, I don't know if I'm supposed to ask you that question anyway. Salah, obviously.
It's Salah. He scored 97 goals in like 155 games, Liverpool, as a right winger. It's just like, I think he got like 44 in all comps in his first year. For a right winger to do that is, I think he's always been tarred with this Chelsea brush because he went to Chelsea and he didn't do very well. He's went away, came back. Yeah. He didn't have to come back, by the way. He came back to prove a point, and what a point he's proven. Like, to go and score. Yeah. He's 3. He might get 100 goals on Monday. If he gets a hat-trick against Arsenal, he hits the 100-goal mark, which for me, for a right winger, I don't think he's appreciated even by Liverpool fans fully. I still think if push came to shove and someone said either Mane or Salah's got to leave, I still think 70% of Liverpool fans would say Salah, which is absolutely crazy. But I understand how good Mane is, but we're just lucky to have them both. In terms of the question, definitely Mo Salah, and I understand that Aubameyang's maybe more pleasing on the eye in terms of pure pace and taking people on and tricks and flicks and scoring beautiful goals. But for me, it's definitely the Egyptian king.
And hairstyle and a Ferrari and a Lamborghini. I see what you mean. So obviously it's Salah for them, but we'll definitely agree on something. They have both had a very big impact in both their teams in terms of goals. I think if you put their goals together, something like 200 or something since they came to England just the other day. So definitely big impact. The next one, let's do like 3 more. Cookie had asked earlier about the defense. I think Connor said Fabinho and Van Dijk.
That's what I said. Joe Gomez is fit, but I just think that because Fabinho handled Timo Werner so well and had him in his back pocket, I think he can do the same with Aubameyang. But it's like Mick said, Joe Gomez got the pace to keep up with him. So, for me, either one would be fantastic alongside Van Dijk.
Mick, you had said Gomez and Van Dijk?
Yeah, I think Gomez and Van Dijk. I think, like I said, they've got that history of playing alongside each other. They're clearly mates off the field. I think that says a lot in terms of the relationship they've got on the pitch as well. They clearly trust each other. Both great on the ball, both rapid. think people still forget Joe Gomez is still only 23, which is he's basically a kid. He's got loads of improvement to do, and Van Dijk's coming maybe towards the end of his career, but imagine learning from him, like the stuff he's going to learn. He could be, for me, he's England's best defender at the moment, but he could be one of the best in the world in 2 to 3 years. It's like I said before, it depends if he is a bit injury prone, and that is one of the problems that we've always highlighted. Matip and Gomez, between them, you can't rely on them very much because you know that they're a challenge away from being out for 6 months, and then you're back to square one again. But for me, if I had to pick, if everyone was fit, I would pick Gomez and Van Dijk as our best centre backs.
Yeah, Con, I'm going to give you this one. The first one, I'm sure, is a question you don't like. What do you think about that Everton this season?
They've been okay. They've looked okay because of Carlo Ancelotti, but they're not going to challenge for the Premier League title. That's like
Top
saying
6?
now, no. I think the Wolves got a better squad than them. I think that maybe they could push for 6th. Given them best, maybe they can finally. Of course, Everton's always been the team that has been known for finishing 7th. But the last couple of seasons they haven't finished 7th. So maybe they would now finally finish 7th. So I don't know. But in terms of challenging this season, it's a hell no for me.
Mick?
Absolutely not. I know they've done well. They've got three wins out of 3. Fair play. Like Ancelotti, for me, is one of the best in the world. They were fucking so lucky to get Ancelotti in at that club. So I don't know if I can swear or not. Is that okay?
It's okay.
But yeah, they were lucky to get Ancelotti, in my opinion. He is world class. They got James Rodriguez in, world class. I mean, he's coming towards the end of his career, but he's still class.
Yeah.
Over the course of 38 games, I do think there's, like Connor said, there's probably 6 teams still better than them overall. Like if they finish 6th or 5th, that would be major. But realistically, I think they're aiming 7th or 8th. Like you look at, there's Arsenal are better, Liverpool are better, Chelsea are better, Tottenham are better, City are better, Man United are better, Wolves are better. Maybe Leeds. I don't know. From the first game against Leeds, I think Leeds are going to be a force to be reckoned with because they gave us a hell of a game and they're going to scare the life out of Premier League teams. And I'm excited to see what they're going to do over the course of, I suppose, when we look at Christmas time, we'll see how it's shaping up. But there's a lot of teams in there who've got a lot of good players with a lot of good managers, and it's going to be a dogfight to get even top 4 this year. We might even see a surprise in there the way it's going. But I think Spurs signing Gareth Bale is a huge one because I think before then, still quality, like Harry Kane, Son and Lucas Moura, absolute quality, but you throw Gareth Bale into that mix and you've got absolute just world class who can create and score in the blink of an eye. So I think they're going to be up there. So I think that's the reason Everton are. I've got a few Everton fan mates, you know what I mean? And I know they've got, I don't want them to, well, would like them to get relegated, but that's not going to happen. But maybe top 7, I think they're aiming for.
Okay, just one name, one word answer. Who has been their best signing for Everton? Mick, just one player?
For Everton?
Yeah, just one word.
Ooh. I think everyone would say James in terms of just it's a show of their intent around the world, but I think in terms of functionality, I would maybe say Allen or Doucouré because they've always needed someone like that in that midfield who can get on the ball, keep it nice and simple, and can drive the team forward. Maybe if you put a gun to my head and said who's the best, I would probably say James just because that creative guile and like we've seen. I don't know if you watched the game earlier. There's a pass he made into Seamus Coleman with his right foot, and it's just like stuff like that. Any other Everton player wouldn't see, and they wouldn't get a goal from that position. I mean, he was still lucky to win the game, but it's still stuff like that where you can see that quality coming through. So probably James, yeah.
Okay, Con, which player would you take to Liverpool from Everton? Just one player given the chance today.
Realistically, I would say none. But if I have to say one, I'd say Alan. I think that's what Everton have been missing for a very long time. When they had that season, back, what was it, 2-3 years ago, when they spent like over 160 million on, practically all midfielders, and they were all attacking midfielders. You're looking, where do you fit them in the squad and that in the team? So, like Mick said, James Rodriguez, he's a world-class signing. He's a world-class player on his day when he's fit. And, that's the power of Ancelotti. Ancelotti, he brought him to Madrid, brought him to Bayern. Now he's brought him to Everton. That is the pulling power of Ancelotti. So, yeah, but for me, I'd say Alan's probably their best signing. And if I had to take one, it'd be Alan to be the backup for Fabinho and Thiago.
Another midfielder corner, another midfielder for Liverpool. Mick, who would you take from there?
I was going to say Alan will be back up to Curtis Jones, but
I should have said that.
No, I think
you had the chance, Connor.
Let's see. I think I don't know. Yeah, it's difficult.
It's a tough one.
We've got so many good players. I'm trying to think literally like who would be good, who would literally be a good squad player for like cup games. And as much as I hate to say it, Richarlison is really good, and I really hate his guts because I've never seen a kid smile. Have you ever seen him smile? I don't think I have. He's always got like this horrible like on his face, and I love to. Yeah, we won't go there. But in terms of quality, he's undoubtedly quality. He's from that left. He's got pace. He can score a goal. He can show them that penalty he scored. He's got the balls to step up and slot a top corner when it matters. He's got that quality in there, and obviously he plays for Brazil now as well. So yeah, I think if I had to pick one, I'd probably pick him.
Awesome. Thanks for the questions, guys, from the chat. So one question from me, not related to Liverpool or Arsenal, Connor. How the hell do people start getting penalties after the final whistle? Can you please explain that to me? Manchester United, penalty after the final whistle. Would you have given it?
Would I have given it? No. The game's finished at the end of the day. That is the bad side of VAR. That is, game's finished. You think, oh, Brighton's got a point, and a well-deserved point against Manchester United. So, but at the end of the day, it is a handball in today's game. But, in my personal opinion, it should have finished as a draw. Game's finished. Tough luck, Manchester United. At the end of the day, if it was Liverpool, maybe I might be saying a different thing. But because it is Man United, why not? But for me, the game's finished. Should have finished 2-2 today.
Yeah, Mick, it's not even that. There was only 30 seconds remaining on the clock when they got the penalty, and the United's penalty came like in the 99th minute. So let's say it was raining, for example, and the final whistle goes and the Brighton players run out. Do you call them back again for the penalty?
Well, I was wondering this when I was watching it, because I think United got a penalty and on the clock was 96:50 or something like that. And I think stoppage time was 5 minutes. So really, before, when that ball kicked from that corner kick, the referee could really blow the whistle that it's over. So that whole penalty scenario, I mean, let's be honest, I think it was Morpay, was it, who gave away the penalty? He is an absolute... He's an absolute idiot for even doing that at that late stage. So the blame's solely on him, I'm afraid, for doing that. Especially when they've worked that hard, they played absolutely tremendously. And I think anyone's going to have... They play like that against everyone this season. They're gonna be absolutely fine because they were tremendous. Especially, it was nice seeing Adam Lallana in that starting 11 as well, doing so well. They're gonna be... But I think in terms of... it was because I thought he blew the final whistle.
He did.
And I think because the incident happened before the final whistle, apparently they're allowed to go and have a look at it. And it was a penalty. You can't say it weren't. It was definitely a pen. And it's just frustrating when you see that happen, and then you watch another game with Everton, and a penalty's given for something like that against Ward, the right back, and it's like, where's he meant to put? Where's he meant to put his arms? Have they got to like put their arms behind the back like that? Or it's going a bit mad, and I think they're trying to be too technical, and I don't know how. We all want VAR to be there because it makes it more precise, but then sometimes it adds too much of a grey area where the referee's being told to have a look at it because the fella looking on the screen thinks it might be a penalty, but then he's going over to look at it. Is he then making a decision, or is he then just going to do it as a show of, oh, I'm going to check, but really I'm going to overturn it because my assistant says that I should? I don't know. It's too layered for it to be like, it's too many elements to it these days. And I know we all thought VAR was going to bring better decisions.
There was also one with Calvert-Lewin in the same game where it wasn't given. So consistency is another thing. So the lack of consistency. So yeah, for me, it just made me hate Manchester United more. And I don't know when you guys are going to play them. I hope Shaqiri gets a double against them again and just smash them up. You can do that for us and we'll be very happy. Thank you, Connor, for coming on. Now, where can they follow you?
Well, first of all, thank you for having me on, mate. I do very much appreciate it. And yeah, just the KopCouncil on YouTube, Twitter, and Instagram as well.
How about you, Mick?
Yes, you can find us on Twitter, TheKopiteOff, or you can find, I think we're on that as well on Instagram. And then on YouTube, if you just search for the Kopite podcast, you'll find all our stuff. We've got loads of stuff on there. Done a recent one with former LFC striker Eric Meyer, which was a good little chat. Quite a few on there. So if you want to go and have a look through our back catalogue, we've only recently just started it, and I think it was February or March, so we're still building up a little following. But if you can go and check us out, that'd be great.
Thank you for coming on. We play you guys again on Thursday. By the way, if you want to come on again before the Carabao Cup game, you're invited. Of course, I can also come on your channel whenever you want me. And yeah, thanks for coming on. You can find all my links in the description. I'll have my preview to the game later on today. Thanks to Con and to Mick for coming on. Thanks for watching, everyone. Keep staying safe, and I'll catch up with you guys later.